So the graph in Q9 shows the sum of sales for each employee in each quarter. So it's quarterly sales per employee, and we're only showing for New York though. So this is the average quarterly sales per employee in New York. But say instead that we want to see an average for all employees. So to do that, we can remove this filter, of course, and then we get an average for each employee. So that average is a little bit more than 7 million. However, now we have all the employees here, and if we only want to see employees for New York, we have to have this filter, but then the average is affected. So if we want this average for all employees to be able to compare to the New York employees only, we need to create an LOD statement. And we need to average for all employees somehow. Well, notice when I'm removing this filter here and this average, well, what this is averaging is looking at each of these data points. So it's an average of sums of quarterly sales per employee. So I first somehow need to sum up all employees' sales per quarter, and then I need to average these. And I need to somehow do that so it's not impacted by the filter that I have in this graph. And of course then I need to use a fixed LOD statement to achieve this. So the first thing I said was that I need to somehow sum up sales for each employee each quarter. So I'm going to create a calculated field. I'm going to call this quarterly employee sales. And it's going to be a LOD statement and a fixed LOD statement. And I know I need to group by employee here, and I need to group by quarters. And I will need the quarters to be sensitive to the year. So I'm going to do a date truncate function, and I want to truncate it to quarters. And what I'm truncating is tr transdate. And it looks like I have an extra parenthesis here, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And I also wanted to group by employees, so I'm going to do tr manager. So right now I'm grouping based on truncated quarters and tr manager, so these are the salespeople. And then I want to sum sales. So what this then is going to return one value for each employee for each quarter. And that value is the sum of sales for that employee in that quarter. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to create a second LOD statement. So I'm going to say create calculated field. And I'm going to take these quarter employees and average them. So I'm going to average all these values. But of course I need to say that this is a fixed statement, and I need to end the LOD statement. And then what am I grouping based on? Maybe I'm not grouping based on anything. So now I'm just simply averaging all these quarterly results, and then I should get this flat line. So maybe I call this company. Let's see if it says that I should annotate those lines later and call them company-wide average quarterly employee sales across all periods. I'm just going to name my variable that. Say OK. And then if we add this variable now I'm getting a line here, and I need to do dual axis, synchronize axis, don't show the header. And notice now this is the 7 million line that we had earlier when we had removed. So this value is 7,137,000. So if I remove this, remember this calculated was also 7,137,000. So I accomplished what I wanted here. So this line now is the average sales per employee per quarter. So it's an average of all the employees' quarterly sales. This one is only for New York. This one is company-wide. It also says that I want to have another average showing the varies for quarters. So I want to only average for each quarter and create a quarterly average. So I'm again going to be building off of the quarterly employee sales. So I'm going to duplicate this one and then edit it. And this one is not going to be across all periods. It's going to sales each quarter instead. And now I need to group based on truncated date again. And this is again going to be quarter. And it's tr transdate. And then if I add this variable, notice now how I'm getting this average for each quarter instead of an average across all quarters. And of course can add sum of sales to this once I get that in the same graph too. And then I do dual axis, synchronize, remove the show header. I'm going to remove the null values. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and add annotations to these two lines that says company-wide average quarterly employee sales across all periods and company-wide average quarterly employee sales each quarter. But that's the same procedure that we used before. In addition to building two LOD statements like this, you can make it a little bit more complicated LOD statement. That's just a single LOD statement that accomplishes this. And this is the idea of using aggregate functions within aggregate functions. So let me show how to do that too. So the first one I'm going to create is the one that's just a flat line. And I'm again going to be building off of sales. So I'm going to do create calculated field. And then let's call this alternative 1. And then I'm going to do an LOD statement. That's a fixed LOD statement. And I'm going to aggregate all data points together. And what I'm aggregating here is I'm going to do sum of sales. And then I'm going to count distinct employees. What I'm getting here is I'm getting total sales per employee over all periods, but I only want total sales per employee for each quarter. So then I need to divide this by the number of quarters. So this will be count D. And then what am I counting? I'm counting unique quarters. So I'm going to say data trunk, and then I'm truncating to quarter. And I'm trunking tr trans date. And then I need to close out the count D. And I forgot to close off my sum sales here, so I need to do that too. And now I have a valid calculation. And I have one more problem because I'm counting employee names here. These employee names are both salespeople and purchases people. I need to make sure I aggregate here orders and purchases separately. So I'm going to tr trans type, and then I will let the filters here take care of filtering out the purchases. And I'll say okay. And then if I drag this onto my view here, what is this line here now is again alternative 7,137,000, which is the same as the company-wide average. And then let's go ahead and do something similar, but now instead for calculating the quarterly averages. So I'm going to go ahead and copy alternative 1, and let's call this alternative 2. So now I want to actually group by quarters because I want quarterly averages. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of retyping that, I'm going to use that. And I don't need to count here because I'm grouping actually based on these. And then I'm also grouping on tr trans type still. And then I'm summing sales for each of these quarters and for trans type, and then dividing by the number of employees in that quarter. And then say okay, and let's drag that on and see what that looks like. And notice now these lines are the same, so this is now 5,962,000, and this is also 5,962,000. So these are two alternative ways of doing it.